Hey, what is up, YouTube? It's Rich. All right, I was experimenting this morning with my Copics because I need to buy refills, and so my inexperience with Copics led me to want to try something. And what I'm basically trying to do with Copics in my workflow is create an easy way to apply a wash effect without having to use ink wash all the time. The reason being is it's slower to apply and harder to manage. And, Copics look great. The warm gray to me really mimics the W line of pens. Really mimics ink wash quite well. And I figure, I can use ink wash for the things that I really want things to look ink washy. And then for the things that don't, if I'm like trying to render a face or something like that and I want a little value on it, I think that these will be perfect. So what I needed to know is I only had bought 7 of these pens, and I wanted to kind of see like what was the value range that it could create. So this is a W1. We're going to go through them and we're going to see one, what it looks like out of the pen, and then 2, how far can we push each value into the next range, meaning can you make a 1 look like a 3, and how many pens do you really need? Most of us as artists, we're kind of on budgets, and if you only need 5 pens to really get a full value scale, why not just use that? You know what I'm saying? So all right, so this is the 1. I definitely want to get a 0, but so just one application of it, and we're gonna write next to it W1. Okay, so that's it right out of the thing. It may look a little darker on the camera than it is in person, but to me, honestly, it's closer to a 20% gray, which is why I want to get the W0, because I'm guessing that will be really, really light. And then also you can use a colorless blender to pull it even lighter. But let's see something here really quick. I want to see how far. I'll put a few applications of this down, and we'll see how dark we can get it. And again, I'm really, really inexperienced with Copics. I have quite a few, and I use them at cons to do commissions, but I've never really incorporated them into my workflow. But as I'm working on my stuff, sorry, was out of the frame a little bit. Yeah, it's just, I like the ink wash look, especially for black and white art. I think it really, really looks killer, and adds a lot of depth and warmth, quite frankly. Yeah, the idea of using wash, and also not all paper takes wash well. That's the thing is, the DC board, just in particular, it can get kind of funky. So look at how different that is, and that's a 1. Okay, so we're going to call this W1 pushed, which just means I pushed it into a different value range. Okay? So, I mean, honestly, with this one pen, I honestly think we have 3 pens already. I'm going to say that that's pretty dark, which is cool because that means you can save money. That's what it's about. That's what this whole video is about, is, you've got $20 to spend on Copics. How many do you need? So this is the W2. So 1 application. Definitely feels like it's in between these 2 values. This is kind of Scott Robertson-ish. He's to me, he's like the value king in videos. And again, I apologize if it went out of frame. I'll make sure to keep it low. I haven't done a drawing video in a while, so I'm a little rusty. But okay, so again, this is just the 2. This is a W2. I can write it down while it's drying for a sec. I'm thinking we can take a W2, probably close to a W4. And if you've used Copics a lot, then you probably already have experimented with this quite a bit. But again, I haven't, other than just to literally use them just to bang out sketches where I'm like, all right, this is close enough to what I want. You know what I mean? Kind of in the heat of the battle, I'm just throwing stuff at a fire to get it to finish. But for my published work, I wanted a little more carefully applied and with some reasoning behind it. Oh shoot. So hold on, let me do this because I didn't do the 1-2 or the W2 just as a one application. So there's the one application. So this is W2 pure, and then this will be W2 pushed. Okay, so let's see how far we can get this dark. Because again, and then what you can do is if you've ever considered using, and there's I think 4 shades of gray. There's a new Copic line, newer, called Tone. I think Tone Gray. And I know that Alex Sinclair, Jim Lee's colorist, was saying that he loved those. He thought that they were great. He was telling me at Comic-Con, he's like, get Tone Gray. And I believe I did pick up a few. But again, I was looking for something that was going to mimic ink wash a bit more. So the warms, I checked all the different grays. There's a cool gray, neutral, tone, and then warm. So those are the 4 distinctions. Okay, so there's the W2 pushed. All right, so again, I don't have every color. That's fine. I do have a W3 though. So let's do one application of the W3. And this might seem like you're like, wow, what a waste of time. You do it once. This isn't like you don't plow through this again and again and again, but you want to find out what you need to use. And okay, so this is W3. And you can kind of see a difference between the 1, the 2, and the 3. I mean, that's definitely the lightest. That's more of a medium, and then that is definitely darker than that. Okay, so now let's push the 3. It gets interesting. I did this actually and posted up a photo on Instagram of the results, and you're going to be surprised at how dark we can get in just a couple more switches. Again, I hope that this is useful for you, where if you want to get into Copics, you know, how many do you really need? Yeah, what I find is I love black and white art, but there needs to be a level of depth and sometimes detail that in just black and white, I feel it looks a little flat and kind of you know, like if you want to paint a sky, have a beautiful, you know, it's like 6:30 and the sun's setting and you want clouds and all that, and you can do it in pen and ink, but it's not going to have the hum and warmth that it would as a value piece. So that was kind of the challenge I was facing, and also atmosphere for inside. You know, using you know, if you're in a tech lab or some dark you know, corridor, you know, are you going to need you know, you want that value, because I definitely think that I'm going to do the book in color if I can afford it. But so this is warm 3 pushed. And I'd argue that's close to like a 5 or 6. And again, it's going to look darker on the camera than it will in person, but trust me on that. That's about a 5 or 6. Okay, so this is a W4 one time. Okay. Again, and you know, you'll find with some of these pen companies that their values aren't very accurate. I always felt like the Prismacolors were pretty inconsistent. Where like a 2 sometimes can be darker than a 4 right out of the gate, and you're like, what is going on? All right, so then this is going to be the W4 pushed. So Copics, to me right now, are definitely hands down, I think, the best marker out there for this kind of thing. They have gotten the best results for people for a while. And this isn't Copic paper. This is just comic book board. So this is a 2-ply Bristol, like probably Strathmore or Canson. Nothing super fancy. Looks like it's about about as dark as that's going to get it. Okay, so that's the W4 pushed. And what I'm going to do really fast while I think about it is I'm going to throw down some actual black India ink. And this is like ink. I did this on my other one just to, I got an inkwell up here with ink in it. So I'm just going to hit it right here with black ink. So that's super black as can get. And it's actually thick ink too, so it's even, you know, darker. But like on the camera, like I'm looking through the preview finder right now, I mean, the W4 pushed looks as black as the black, which it's not. It's quite a ways off from that. Okay, so then my next pen is, I only have a W6. I never bought the W5. I figured I would be safe with that, and that was just kind of more on guessing, based on what I had seen on Prismacolor pens in the past. So it's a W6 pure, and then see how dark we can get this W6, building it up. And I'll show you my other one that I did in a second after this. I was going to use the same paper, but it kind of was like, sort of had a spoiler with it all being done already. I figured might as well, we could chit chat a little bit while we're going through the pens. And you could probably, if you waited a while in between applications, I'm kind of going faster than I normally would, just to speed up the video a bit, but beautiful, beautiful colors too. And this is not great paper. I can tell there's a little bit of sort of a textury thing going on inside of it, but it's not too bad, not too bad at all. I've seen wash do way worse things to some of the old DC board. Had a wild stroke there at the end. It was like, whoa. I mean, but like, I'm telling you, like now, okay, in person, this is close. This is quite close. You scan this, and if you put color over it, this W6 is basically a black. It isn't. I'll try to pull it up a little closer and see if you can tell the difference a little more. But I mean, that's about as dark as you really need to go. If you have a little bit of line work under there, like if you're using Copic multi-liners and you've got this is a 005 super thin pen. But like, yeah, if you had like some hatching, you know, you were going for a fade or something. I'm just gonna do this quick just to get some detail down. But yeah, you throw 6 over it. I mean, that's dark. Okay, so then my next one is a W7, and this is actually, I mean, I'm ordering ink refills today, which was the reason that I did it, is because I know I'm going to be using these pens quite a bit moving forward. I haven't inked any of my stuff yet, just to be clear. I've been penciling a lot, but I haven't been inking my stuff just because it stacks kind of unnecessary time on the pages. So yeah, there was just no need right out of the gate to be spending a bunch of time inking each piece, because you're doubling the amount of time that you're going to be spending on them. And I didn't want to dilute the drawing process, if that makes sense. My inking muscles are already kind of strong. So yeah, I mean, that's basically a black. It's so close. It's really, really close. And this is the 7. So do you need a W8, a W9, or whatever the there may be a W10, I'm not sure, but this is W7, and that's pushed. And then I'll pull out the W9 just for the hell of it. It's a beautiful color, honestly. Like in one application, it's actually quite nice looking. But I think scanned and put in a comic book, it just reads like a washy black. Mignola's blacks on his originals are just about that dark, if not even more translucent. So there you go. I hope that helps and gives you a little bit of insight into the value range on Copic markers. And these are the warm grays. And, you know, we used 7 pens and really probably only needed about 4 or 5 of them. I mean, you could argue definitely you want the W1, and again, I'm going to go for a W0 because I want something lighter than that for just really, really subtle. But the reality is when you go to a W0, you're almost doing the opposite of this, which is scanned and put into a comic book. It's probably going to be nearly invisible. So that's just more from me being like anal, all about that ass. W2, great pen, but as we saw, W2 can take you to a W3, maybe even close to a W4, and the same thing. So, I mean, I'm probably going to get refills for this. I'm going to buy a W0. I'll get the 2, and probably the 4, and the 6, and the 7, and I won't need this. And I don't need a 5. I'm not going to get an 8 or a 9. So, you know, I'm saving probably anywhere from 20 to 30 bucks not picking up those other pens. Okay? I hope that helps. And then this was the other one that I did. It's the same idea, but this is the photo that I posted on Instagram. If you're not following me on Instagram, do. And then also Patreon. One, I want to thank all my Patreon supporters. And two, if you're not a Patreon supporter, when you sign up for Patreon, even for $1, I send you like 12 unlisted videos now. There's 12 of them, and you know, it's quite a bit of material. Some of them are pretty long, and yeah, totally worth it, and it really helps me, and it helps me, you know, keep doing YouTube and Patreon. So, all right, thank you. I will talk to you all later. Have a great day. Bye.